Hi everyone, we've moved on to the next tissue salt in the series, Nat Phos. But before I get into that, I've got a quick announcement in terms of people interested in Chinese astrology. I'm doing a free Chinese astrology seminar coming up on the 3rd of October, and it's in regards to just general aspect. I'm just going to generally talk about Chinese astrology, what it can offer, how it differs from planetary astrology. I'll go through a few charts of famous people and all the participants, whoever decides to come in. I can go through someone's chart if they want to know a little bit about themselves from a Chinese astrological perspective. So I've got the link below for tickets. If you'd like to come along, it's free, and you'll just hear me giving all my wisdom about Chinese astrology and what it has to offer. So let's get into this natrium phos, sodium phosphate, cell salt, which is the key words for this one will be the acid neutralizer, the acid alkaline balance, and there's a lot of interesting things in relation to this salt, as they all have their interesting characteristics. But generally, this has a lot to do with the kidneys, actually. I would say, from a Chinese medical point of view, it rules the adrenals, the cortical substance of the kidneys, the lower back, the nerves, the lumbar vertebrae, the veins, the ovaries as well. Now, this salt particularly has a lot of function to do with these kind of things, but also, the tissue affinities, particularly are the lymphatics, the genitals, and the stomach, and the bile ducts. And usually, people who come in with this kind of presentation in clinic will have acidic conditions like firstly, they can have a lot of pain or rheumatic pain in the joints. It's very, very indicated for gout. It's one of the key remedies for gout, joint pains, similar to this. It's another one probably in combination with bruxism, which is grinding of the teeth, into combined possibly with mag phos, but this is when the facial diagnosis comes into differentiation between this, because the facial signs for Nat Phos are quite they're kind of easy to diagnose, actually, in a way, because you're going to see people, they may have dry skin or greasy hair. Greasy hair's one, but also greasy sweat, yellowing of the skin, and they'll also have acne and pimples, and particularly around the jawline. Now, this could be very much indicated for women with premenstrual or types of acne. When the heat starts to build, it gives off a lot of heat, fire into the stomach, and women can tend to get these breakouts along the jawline and the chin. This salt is very much indicated for this, because one of the key signs of the face with Nat Phos, which you don't see, so I mean, on the facial diagrams, which I don't have on here, but some of them there, the jawline's a key area for here. But also there can be a lot of things like things that generally weaken the kidney function, right? From a Chinese medical point of view, because the kidneys rule the lumbar, the lower back. But also on a psychological level, I mean, this salt has a lot to do with our values, because traditionally it is ruled by the planet Venus. And in the tarot card, it's ruled by the card Justice. So this salt is all about, it's connected with the sign of Libra, which I'll talk about in the next talk, and has a lot to do with the balance. And balance can play out in so many ways, but really, it's interesting how they're connected to the kidneys, because the kidneys indicate that balance of the yin and yang, which gives pretty much optimal health. So, and Nat Phos does rule the kidneys. as does Venus in astrology. Now, so again, this salt has a lot to do with the teeth grinding bruxism, like I said. There can be an element of jaundice. It's connected with parasites. Creamy yellow discharges such as leukorrhea, which women can get. Candida. So the tongue with this, speaking of candida, the tongue will have a lot of thick yellowing coating on the rear of the tongue, which indicates Chinese medicine, a lot of damp heat, phlegm in the lower jowl. It's connected to sugar cravings. It's one of the key ones for acid reflux, heartburn, and morning sickness in terms of, and probably combined with something like Kali Myrrh, which I've already talked about in the Gemini one. Morning sickness is related to this salt, Nat Phos, is very much indicated for morning sickness, particularly also in men with seminal emissions during their sleeps, or I would go as far to say is what we call in Chinese medicine spermatorrhea, so the leaking of the sperm for men. And also indicated for frequent urination, which is another kidney problem in Chinese medical language. Headaches more on the crown of the head and the forehead. There can be inflammation of the eyes with creamy matter. And it's specifically indicated for children with diarrhea with green, sour smelling stools. Because this salt also has a primary function in part of the liver as well. The liver is related to the color of green and sour with the wood element. Another interesting thing about this salt is that it's indicated for palpitations, heart palpitations that are specifically worse for after eating. So when we have a big meal and the heart just starts pounding away, this salt is very much indicated. Now, on that psych level, it's another one for particularly insomnia, depression from oversensitive nerves, and it can be indicated for jealousy and envy. And of course, anything that's in correlation with Venus is a lot to do with how we value ourselves, how we look at ourselves, and a lot to do with self-esteem. And the kidney function in Chinese medicine is very much indicated for that as well, self-esteem. So when the kidneys are weak, our will particularly is usually a little bit weak. It's harder to value ourselves. So this is a Nat Phos in a little snapshot. Before we'll get into the next talk I'm going to do on that, will just be based purely on a little bit more of the esoteric side of things, getting into Venus and the concept of Lucifer. So thanks for listening, and please, if you feel so inclined, come in on the Chinese Astrological Talk, which is coming up on the 3rd of October. And thank you for listening, guys.